With this video, we're going to start talking about our type tools. Our type tools are right here in our toolbar with the text T next to it. That's our type tool. If we select that, our options bar changes to reflect all the type tools that are available to us. Unlike a word processing software, you can't just come in, click, and start typing. You have to draw yourself a text frame. Once you've got this text frame going, you're going to have this frame with this blinking cursor, and then you can start typing. And I'm just putting down some text on there so we have something to work with. Now, to change the attributes of this text, I actually need to highlight it. And I'm going to go in here to my toolbar right here to make these changes and make it large. We can change the font style in here, maybe make it bold. If we want this to fit in one line, we can try different font sizes, or we can just kind of try the up and down arrows, which is what I'm doing, to fit it all in one line. You can also bring up your character and your paragraph palettes under Window, under Type, and if you bring up Character right here, it'll be right there for you to work with. You can change your type style, highlight your text, come in here, and you get a little preview of what the text looks like. You have a lot of options here. You can do the same thing coming in here. As always, Adobe gives you 3 different ways to do the same thing. You can change the alignment of this text. Again, you can highlight it and you can do it right here. Maybe we want to center it, or we can do the same thing, bring up our paragraph, and we can kind of toggle it with our character, and that way it's all nice and handy. But I went right here at the top in the options bar. Notice how I have this a larger font size and this is a smaller font size right here to make it fit all in one line. The number, the value that's right below the font size is called leading. And if you look at this graphic right here or right here in your palette, it shows that it's the space between 2 lines of type. So it's the space between graphic design, the baseline, and the baseline for Tallahassee Community College. This will default to 120% of the font size. So since it's 60 points, it's at 72 points. We can reduce this, we can enlarge this. It's at auto right now. I've made it a little bit more, increase the space. Maybe we want to go back and reduce it a little bit. Not quite as tight as it was, but there you go. The units of measure for this is points. Picas and points are the units of measure in graphic design, and in typography, especially when you come to typography, you'll be learning a lot more about this. Think of a point as the tip of a ballpoint. That's about the width of 1 point. There are 12 points in 1 pica and 6 picas in 1 inch, or 1 inch has 72 points. Just kind of keep that at the back of your mind, because you'll inevitably want to convert back and know what that means. Now this text frame is also helpful to you. You can go ahead and select this and actually change the attributes of the frame itself. We can bring up our swatches under Window, under Color, and Swatches right here. And maybe we want to give this a fill color, and my stroke is selected, which right here at the bottom of my toolbox, I can change that, make sure my fill is selected, and there you go. You can change the color of your text. Let's change that. Notice how my symbol right there, fill symbol, changed to the letter T. It recognizes that this is text that we are working with. Maybe you want to change this, and you can have way more color options. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So that's sort of your simple structure for, say, you can change the size of this, you can make it smaller, you can make it larger. These tools should be familiar out of Illustrator. We have our white arrow. So you can use your black arrow to move and size, and you can use your white arrow to bring up your anchor points and start actually manipulating those anchor points. Right there, I can change the shape of this. I have my pen tool, which also has the delete anchor point, add anchor point, and the convert anchor point tool. I can give myself some more anchor points right here. I can go back to my white arrow, select that anchor point. I had both these selected. So there's different things you can do with this. Perhaps you've got too many going, you can go back to your delete anchor points and start getting rid of all these extra anchor points that you gave yourself. Maybe, stretch this out, clean it up a little. There you go. Now this is when you're typing in text. Often you will get text from your client that needs to be placed in it. It would be probably as a Word file that you would need to place in your document. You don't really want to retype all of that. What you would do is go under File, Place, and this is the same command whether it's text or it's an image that you're placing. File, Place, and I'm going to go ahead and just go to my desktop and pick up some Greek text that I have sitting there, just filler text, lorem ipsum, and I'm going to see how my cursor got loaded with this text. It tells me I've got text on there. Again, I want to go ahead and draw myself a text frame, and it'll kind of flow into this text. I have this little red plus sign. What that tells me is I have more text. So I just need to click that. My cursor is loaded again. I can go ahead and give myself another text frame. And I can keep flowing my text this way. I can change how these columns of type flow. I can manipulate them. I can make them longer. My text will reflow to accommodate for the new shape. I can make the gutter, the space between the two columns wider. All of these options are available to me. So you do have more options with your text frames in here. Notice how you can hide them, because sometimes having all these frames visible can become distracting. You can go under View and go to Hide Frame Edges, Extras, Hide Frame Edges. So unless you have something selected, it's not going to show up. You can select it and you'll see the frame. Now say you want to give a filled color to this also. Let's go ahead and give a similar fill right here. Look what's happening. What's happening is the text is butting up to the edge at the top and on the sides and at the bottom, and it's really hard to read. It's nice to have that leeway to give a fill color, but right now it makes it hard to read. You can fix that by giving it some padding, what's called padding. You go under Object, Text Frame Options, and bring up this palette right here. First of all, you have that handy dandy preview button. Make sure you check that. This is the part that you're going to be looking at, inset spacing. Notice you have top, bottom, left, and right. You can certainly put in individual values, but right now they're locked together and you can unlock it if you need to. If I keep it locked together, they'll move in conjunction. So I'll just increase the values a little bit. Look what it's doing over here. It's giving me some breathing room. So now when I click away from it, this is so much easier to read than, say, if I give this a fill color. Look at the difference between the two. This looks professionally done. This looks very, very immature work. Similarly for this, I could do the same thing. I can go under Object. I can go under Text Frame Options. Notice how it's aligned to the top. I can change my vertical justification and make it centered. That looks a little better, right? So it can get really easy to start doing some layout work like this. In fact, I think I have my text frame not quite straight here. There you go. It's a little better. You have more options with type. Often you will see, say, the start of an article. Your designer wants to draw your eye to the start where they want you to start reading, and they'll define that point by having a large cap letter. You can set that up easily. If I go in here and highlight my first letter of my paragraph type, I can go into my options palette, my options bar across the top, and see what I have over here. It's pretty visually intuitive. Look at this. It looks like a drop cap, right? And if I start putting in a value, my letter in my document turns larger. I'm going to make it really large so it's visible. And maybe I want to change the type style on this. You know, you may change, I don't know, you might change colors on it. You might change the type style to a completely different type style. But it's a great way to draw attention. This is just one of the design elements that designers will use to draw your eye, as this is the starting point. This is where I want you to start reading from. And it's there in your options bar. So play with the type style, look at the different color options that you have. All of this are all your design elements that are available to you.